Thanks, Sophie. You're watching South East Today. Our top story tonight. Rural life overrun by new builds. Residents in Broad Oak complain a large new housing estate impacts their quality of life.
You could have your breakfast on the patio and hear the birds really singing, but now you've got no trees, you've got nothing, no nature at all, it's all gone.
Speed signs vandalised. A new traffic scheme leaves a town divided. We're live in Herne Bay with more. The road to recovery. Friends of a murdered rugby coach pay tribute with a charity event.
It's one of the great cosmic mysteries. How it is that someone can go from being a total stranger to being the most important person in your life.
And the love story that's taken streaming by storm. We chat to the Sussex director of One Day about her global success. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Ellie Crisell. Homeowners in a small Kent village have expressed their anger after construction of a new housing development was started just yards away from their properties. Residents say their dream homes have been ruined by an estate of more than 400 new builds, which are currently being constructed. The development was narrowly approved by Canterbury City Council's Planning Committee in 2021. However, residents are complaining the new properties tower over their back gardens, blocking light and driving down the value of their homes, as Piers Hopkirk reports.
This is Dave and Maureen King, and this they thought was their forever home, until at the bottom of the garden, open fields were replaced by this.
Well, it's towering over us, so it's just a monstrosity. Really no privacy left to us at all. We can't sleep. My husband suffers with depression and it's far worse now. It's just the worst thing that's ever happened to us. Was going to be our dream home.
And this is what the neighbouring land looks like now. It's all part of a major housing development by Barrett and David Wilson Homes around Broad Oak near Canterbury. The Kings fought to protect their home after moving in around 9 years ago, but they say their objections and those of their neighbours fell on deaf ears. Their home no longer the quiet retreat they'd fallen in love with.
I've gutted the place, I've spent thousands on it, doing it up. We worked really hard on it, myself and my sons, to get it to what it is. And yeah, it was our dream home. It was lovely. To have the nature, the quietness, and a bungalow that we wanted.
But now?
But now it's all been taken away.
It's made our houses price plummet, and who would want to buy a house with that looking over us?
The Kings believe there are now at least 16 windows looking into their own. Their privacy, they say, has vanished. The Kings say they've lost all their precious views. This side gate used to lead out to an open field. Now it looks like this. They say in just a few months they'll be completely surrounded by new homes. Canterbury City Council insists the development went through the proper planning process, while the developers said today the new homes were assessed in the planning process to have no adverse impact on existing residents.
Now, we went to all the meetings, we've sent loads of objections to the Canterbury Council planning, and no, we didn't expect them to be as close as this, nor as tall as this.
The Kings once saw their futures here, now they say all they can see is this. Piers Hopkirk, BBC South East Today, Broad Oak near Canterbury.
Police have launched an investigation after vandals carried out a spate of criminal acts on speed restriction signs in a Kent seaside town. The damage, which has been called mindless, has seen dozens of newly erected 20-mile-an-hour signs spray painted. The vandalism follows an outcry over a new traffic scheme designed to make roads safer, which some residents say has effectively split the town in two. Nick Johnson explains.
The level of feeling over the change in Herne Bay's speed limit, clear to see. New 20-mile-an-hour signs throughout the town, defaced. For some residents and businesses alike, the new limit has serious repercussions.
It is having an effect. It's certainly having an effect downtown, with people not bothering to come into the town. They're not even coming up this way now. So we're starting to see it.
It's only a 10-mile-an-hour reduction, isn't it? Is that really making a massive difference?
It's making a massive difference.
But the 20-mile-an-hour limit is just one of a number of headaches for Herne Bay's motorists. Part of Herne Bay's Central Parade has now been closed to traffic, with a pedestrianised plaza in the middle. The road either side is now one way, as well as surrounding roads as well. Locals describe the town as being cut in two. Now, on a day like today, summer couldn't feel further away, but businesses say they really will suffer when holiday season arrives. One of those businesses, Kane's Amusements, has been a seafront stalwart for decades.
We're cut off from the rest of the town. It's like another town down the other end now. Yes, the town's been very good to us. We've got a successful business, been here 48 years, but I don't know what's happening now because we're cut off. The other day, a German coach had to reverse up the road across the roundabout, which is against the law, but that's all he could do to get out.
Kent County Council says the tampering of signs puts safety at risk and delays the council's ability to review the new layout and explore future options. For locals, any review will have to be meaty. The outcome, a wholesale reversal.
People will not be coming to the seafront. They won't turn up here. They'll go to other places which are easier to get to, easier to park.
Well, Nick Johnson joins us from Herne Bay. Now, Nick, it sounds like these new traffic measures have been pretty controversial down there.
You could say that, yes. Those 20-mile-an-hour signs and the limit, the facing of which is plain to see. You can see the strength of feeling here. But this is part of a wider package of traffic measures in Herne Bay. You heard about the broken seafront here where I'm standing now and the pedestrianised plaza in the middle. It's that which businesses are really worried about. They say that day trippers coming here in the summer, if they see signs for the one-way system, they just won't bother and they'll go elsewhere. Now, this isn't the only place in our region with a 20-mile-an-hour limit. Take a look at Faversham, at Medway, at parts of Eastbourne and Lewis. And in Brighton last year, councillors actually voted to overturn some of the pedestrianised city streets following a review. Here, Kent County Council says it is listening to the community, many of whom want their own review and want this scheme overturned.
Nick, thank you. A man who threatened his victims with a meat cleaver has been jailed for more than 8 years. 23-year-old Frankie Whittington tried to rob a newsagent's in Gravesend but fled empty-handed when his victims summoned his dog. Whittington also threatened the owners of 2 houses in Strood he attempted to rob before running away when told the police were en route. Kent Fire and Rescue Service is to end its contract with Eurotunnel next year. The fire service has been providing cover at the crossing for 30 years and says safety won't be compromised. Eurotunnel says it's exploring alternative arrangements with other service providers. Kent farmers unhappy at low supermarket prices and cheap food imports from post-Brexit trade deals are considering whether to continue their protests following a raft of announcements by the Prime Minister. Demonstrations have sprung up in the UK, most notably at the Port of Dover, where there have been 2 protests that have caused widespread disruption. Protests have also been held in Spain, in France and in Greece. The UK government insists agriculture has been at the forefront of negotiated deals since the UK left the EU, and its £2.4 billion annual farming budget was providing support to the industry. Our environment correspondent Yvette Austin reports.
Farmers protesting at a Dover supermarket at the weekend. They're fed up, they say, with not getting a fair price for what they produce, along with competition from cheap imports and a lack of government support. Today, they've been digesting promises the Prime Minister made to the annual National Farmers Union conference.
It's farmers who feed us. Farmers who embody those British values of strength, resilience, warmth and independence.
A whole raft of announcements were made, from grants to boost productivity to an index to monitor food security. It went down well, but many concerns remain. Recent years have been especially tough. Some apple growers here in Kent have resorted to grubbing up their trees, production costs too high, the returns from supermarkets too low, and with foreign produce taking centre stage on shelves.
We as farmers just want a level playing field, whether it's with Europe or here. We want to be treated fairly for the products we're producing to a very high standard. We would like our products used first, and then if there's shortfall, other countries can help fill the gap.
Many farmers say the government has put the environment above food production.
I guess they're a little bit scared that, again, that all the farm's going to go to one environmental scheme. That'll be wrong. But if you actually work with the environmental schemes alongside your farm, you can improve your production, improve your environmental footprint. And so if properly rewarded, they go together, and they go together well.
What's interesting, though, is that farmers in Kent and the UK aren't alone in being unhappy. Protests have been taking place across the world, from France, Spain and Poland to India. Their complaints: cheap imports, red tape and environment policies, all familiar problems. It being general election year here, the president of the NFU challenged the political parties to come up with a food production plan.
Who will bring DEFRA together with one ambition: balancing food and environment?
Finding such a balance might be popular worldwide. Yvette Austin, BBC South East Today.
Now, there's mounting anger over so-called car meets. That's gatherings of drivers who want to show off their vehicles, sometimes at very high speeds. On yesterday's programme, we heard how donuts, drifting and high-speed manoeuvres were causing danger and a noise nuisance for residents near Crawley. But some car enthusiasts in Kent are trying to distance themselves from those who take part in antisocial or dangerous driving. In a moment, we'll explain how you can scan a QR code on your mobile phone screen so you can tell us your thoughts on this story. But first, our investigations reporter Ben Moore has this report.
It's kind of like a catch-up for people interested in cars.
This car meet is trying to steer clear of trouble.
You know people, you know them by their car. It's just great to see everyone enjoying themselves.
Katie's car meets are static, so by definition the cars don't move. No racing, no drifting, no donuts.
For me, it's my time to relax, switch off from the rest of the world.
Well, I'll be honest, we like the attention a little bit. But yeah, it's nice to just come down, make new friends.
Burnt some rubber today. You've got to be into it to understand it. If you don't understand it, then you're not going to understand what we're doing.
They're all older men, they're all in their 40s. They love just tinkering with their cars, and I make the coffee.
Although no traffic laws are being broken here, the meet is still taking place on private land, a busy retail park.
Just popping and banging.
That is quite loud, though.
It's just a bit of fun. Everyone loves it. Everyone gathers around.
It's out of the way. There aren't any houses around. We can have our part of the car park where people can literally express themselves.
The managers of this retail park told us car meets aren't allowed, and they've worked with police to deter them in the past. Static meets feel they get a bad rep, and this is why. Social media footage shows how some Kent meets are held on public roads and include driving like this.
Like, personally, I think they're idiots. It's at risk of getting their car damaged, getting other people's cars damaged, hurting people.
Do they give you a bad name?
A lot of people do give us a bad name, yeah. It's affecting all static meets because they're getting moved on by police as soon as they see a gathering of cars.
Kent Police says it will act quickly to disrupt any events that have a negative effect on local communities or the potential to result in death or serious injury.
If the organisers of a static meeting can assure us that it will just be that, a static meeting, and it doesn't cause any antisocial behaviour, then that is success. That's what success looks like.
But long-term solutions often need a broad brush. This car park in Tunbridge was closed permanently last year after it became a magnet for meets.
As best intentions as any organiser sets out to achieve, there's always going to be an element that goes off in their own pathway and causes antisocial behaviour, noise and the distress to those living locally in the community.
And later on, as the static meet packs up, there are signs things can spill over. So we left the static car meet. About half a mile away is this industrial estate, and as we're passing through, we notice in one of the car parks there are cars doing donuts, using it as a skid pan. We just don't know whether these drivers were at the static car meet or not, but it shows how blurred the lines can be.
If they want to go and do it elsewhere, and I can't stop them from doing that, however, I would recommend not to. It's It's too risky. That's why I don't do it personally. I don't want my licence taken away from me.
Like the cars themselves, Katie's Meet is home to enthusiasts of all shapes, sizes and ages.
I'm 72 years old.
My mother is about your age and her car looks nothing like this. Joy says even after all these years, no proper provision is being made for car enthusiasts.
It is a shame that there isn't something for people like ourselves where we can just take our cars and just enjoy, like now, revving them up and hearing all the exhausts and things.
Sometimes people with anxiety, depression, and the one thing that they do care about is their cars. And like the cars, is, like to some people, cars are their babies, and I'd like to encourage more people to express themselves.
Ben Moore, BBC South East Today.
And you can get in touch with your views on that, and do let us know if car meets are happening where you live. You can always email us southeasttoday@bbc.co.uk, or you can WhatsApp us. Now that number is 0808 100 2250, or you see that QR code, you can scan that right now and that will take you straight into WhatsApp and you can start a chat with us there. Now it's creeping up to 10 to 7. A reminder of our top story tonight. Homeowners in a small Kent village say their rural idyll has been ruined by hundreds of new builds that have sprung up, blocking their light and devaluing property. The development was narrowly approved by Canterbury Council in 2021. Also in tonight's programme.
I was gonna leave you a note, but I couldn't find a pen.
That's fine. One day you'll have global streaming success and a social media endorsement from a Kardashian. We chat to director Molly Manners about life in the Netflix #1 spot.
And tomorrow we are going to see more heavy rain combined with some strong winds. A Met Office yellow warning in force. I've got the details coming up later in the programme.
Now, he was a popular rugby coach and a dedicated police officer, shot dead on duty in 2020 by a man in custody who'd smuggled in a gun. Now, friends of Matt Ratner have completed a 100-mile charity walk in his memory. The former East Grinstead rugby coach was remembered today by those who knew him and famous faces from the world of rugby who've gathered for a fundraising match tonight in Bristol, where we can also find our sports reporter James Dunn. Hello James, this must have felt like a fitting tribute for seemingly somebody who was a very popular man, a very popular coach.
Yeah, this is the perfect end, a night of rugby. You can see young players on the pitch behind me at the moment. And for the walkers, well, they've walked 100 miles to get here. They're probably, as you might imagine, they have popped off for an afternoon nap before they've come back here this evening. It has been a very tough few days, but tonight will be a chance to remember their friend, to pay tribute, to celebrate all they've achieved, but also all that he achieved, because his death, though tragic, has united an entire rugby community across the UK.
Over the hills of the West Country, all the way to Bristol. Today, the final stretch was the wettest of them all.
It felt like you just wanted to give up, but in the back of your mind, you just know what you're doing. All these people raise so much money for us, you just got to keep going. That's what it's all about. I know Matt up there is thinking the same. You'll never be defeated.
Today was nice to finish, and we all finished together, and everybody made it to the end. So, yeah, brilliant.
They've stayed at local rugby clubs en route. They've had hurdles to overcome, but there's been help just around the corner every step of the way.
I bet that's a shallow bit, isn't it?
I mean, it was really, really wet. There was one point, actually, a guy drove past who was a gardening landscaper, and he gave us a lift for 300 yards on the back of his flatbed lorry.
You should have brought your canoe.
Oh, it does get deeper, doesn't it?
Welcome to East Grinstead Rugby Football Club.
A much loved and respected rugby coach, Matt Ratner was also a Metropolitan Police officer. He tragically lost his life just months before retirement, shot in a police station by a suspect who had a concealed gun. But this tragedy has united the rugby community. And at the end of today's walk, there's a charity match with a host of former internationals, both on the pitch and in the crowd. Among those watching on is Dean Richards, a legend as a coach and a player and a former policeman.
We're here because of Matt, what he meant and what he stood for. You know, nobody wants the unfortunate circumstance, but at the same time it's what has come out of it, and the fact that so many youngsters will benefit from it, and it'll make a difference, and we're here to make a difference.
I have officially sacrificed 3 toenails to the cause. Small sacrifice compared to what we actually are going to achieve with the funds that we've raised, which will help us to continue coaching in schools and providing opportunities where there might not have been opportunities before.
Superb, well done. Today, one challenge was done, but this is where the hard work begins. Helping young people better themselves through rugby will be Matt's true legacy.
Well, the rugby starts in about an hour's time. We've mentioned Dean Richards. There's also former New Zealand international Zin Zambrook, who did the haka at Matt's funeral. Now, the walk raised more than £5,000. There are hundreds of people expected here. I imagine we'll raise a great deal more money this evening.
James, thank you. Now, it's been hard to avoid hearing about a new TV drama taking streaming by storm based on that best-selling novel, One Day. The book sold more than 5 million copies worldwide and has been translated into 40 languages. And now a young film director from Brighton has brought it back into the spotlight on Netflix, working with rising British stars Leo Woodall and Ambika Mod. BAFTA award-winning director Molly Manners welcomed Ian Palmer into her kitchen to chat about love, sacrifice and the Kardashian effect.
It's one of the great cosmic mysteries. How it is that someone can go from being a total stranger to being the most important person in your life.
It's the TV series everyone's raving about, the Netflix version of the David Nicholls novel, One Day.
What about you?
I want to do something that actually makes a difference.
The lead director of One Day is Molly Manners from Brighton.
You can't help but give a little bit of yourself to every project that you do, and there's a lot of sacrifices that you make along the way, a lot of late nights and weekends, and I guess just your mental space is very much in the project. Yeah, it's very, very personal, and that's why it's nerve-wracking when you then put it out into the world.
I was gonna leave you a note, but I couldn't find a pen.
The story unfolds over a 20-year period, but told on the same day of each year, July the 15th.
I know, me.
I think it was a very bold adaptation to play the drama off-screen. What it did is it just really centres you on their relationship, and I think we just live our lives by our relationships and almost the smaller moments. And so it just shows you, what I loved about it was just seeing these tiny, almost insignificant moments in people's lives that are actually the defining ones across a 20-year period.
Molly studied psychology at university before making adverts, trailers and films. In 2022, she won a BAFTA for the Best TV Drama Series called In My Skin.
I know how much you love me. And I know you did everything you could.
It was such a beautiful project that had such a special place in my heart. It felt amazing to be recognised in that way, and to know that the show had touched and moved so many people.
Your latest project, One Day, is #1 globally. You must be absolutely over the moon with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're thrilled about it. Kim Kardashian actually put it on her Instagram account yesterday. I know. We've made Kim Kardashian cry, and I think that's very rewarding. That was my North Star for the project.
One Day is bound to bring more plaudits and perhaps more filming opportunities for one of the most talented directors in the country. Ian Palmer, BBC South East Today, Brighton.
Oh, I love one day. How I wish it was the 15th of July today, Nina, and not February.
It was a little gloomy today, wasn't it?
Very gloomy.
Yeah, grey skies. We had some wet weather as well from our Weather Watcher pictures, and it's pretty saturated the ground. We're going to keep some rain in the forecast for tomorrow, but we're also going to add in some strong winds as well. A blustery day tomorrow. Those winds could gust up to around about 50 miles an hour. So there is a Met Office yellow warning running through the day, all because this area of low pressure's got some quite active weather fronts which move their way through. Once that does clear, low pressure is still dominating our weather, so an unsettled feel, but I think fewer showers on Friday and a better chance of seeing some drier and some brighter spells. So at first tonight, it is dry, a window of dry weather, but quite cloudy skies. And then as we head in towards the early hours, we start to see some of this showery rain arriving. Temperatures will stay at around 9 to 10 first thing tomorrow morning. Through the morning, then a lot of cloud with a scattering of showers first thing. Then we've got these two squally bands of heavy rain to move their way through. As I said, the wind's a real feature and perhaps causing us some disruption as we go through the day. One band of rain mid-morning and another one following on later on in the afternoon. I think temperatures will dip away. They might just at some point get up into double figures, but behind that weather front the air is getting colder, so with clearer skies as we start Friday morning, just a few passing showers along the south coast. Temperatures on Friday sitting just above freezing, so a drier day on Friday, a colder day, still maybe 1 or 2 showers, but temperatures perhaps more typical for the time of year. Afternoon highs of 10 degrees. Ellie.
So we can wave goodbye to spring for the moment then. Thank you, Nina. That's it from me and the rest of the team. Ian Palmer is back with your late news update at 10:30. Bye-bye.